So today we are very happy to have a special interactive session with respected Manojit Sengupta, who is now at the Vice President of TCS, Tata Consultancy Services, and also the head of this Kolkata division. And he is a great student. He is actually alumnus of Purulia Ramakrishna Mission and also Narendrapur Ramakrishna Mission. After that, done his engineering at Jadavpur University, and then his more than 30 years in TCS in different capacity. Now he is serving as a vice president. So আমি বাংলা ইংরেজি মিশিয়ে বলছি, ইনিও বাঙালি, ও বাংলা ইংরেজি মিশিয়ে বলবো যাতে এটা ইনফর্মাল হয়, নাহলে খুব ইংরেজি হয়ে গেলে অনেকে চুপচাপ বসে থাকবে। তা তোমাদের আমি সেই জন্য বললাম, কারণ এটা একটা ইন্টারঅ্যাক্টিভ সেশন। স্যারও সেইভাবে আসছে। স্যার মানে এত সিনিয়র, 30 বছরের বেশি কর্পোরেট ওয়ার্ল্ডে, তোমাদের কতজন অভিজ্ঞতা আছে জানি না। এটা রিয়েলি খুব একটা মানে ভেরি প্রিসিয়াস থিং। তা কর্পোরেট ওয়ার্ল্ডে 10-12 বছর মানে খুবই সিনিয়র। তা সেখানে উনি 30 বছরের বেশি এখানে সার্ভিস করছে বিভিন্ন ক্যাপাসিটি, বিদেশ থেকে শুরু করে এখান থেকে বিভিন্ন জায়গাতে। এখন কলকাতার হেড হিসাবে আছেন এবং একটা টিসিএসে একটা সেগমেন্টের ভাইস প্রেসিডেন্ট পুরো উনি। তা সেই হিসাবে উনি ওনার জাস্ট এই স্কোপ অফ টিসিএস টু দ্য স্টুডেন্ট, সেই বিষয়ে তিনি আলোচনা করবেন এবং বিভিন্ন ফিল্ডে কী আছে সেই আলোচনা করবেন। সেটা তোমাদের কোনো কোয়ারি থাকলে ইমিডিয়েট সঙ্গে সঙ্গে বলো। ওনার এত অভিজ্ঞতা আছে সেটা বলবেই, কিন্তু সে তোমার নিডটা তো বলতে হবে, তোমার কোশ্চেনটা তোমাকে প্লেস করতে হবে, কারণ তোমার মনের কথাটা তো কেউ জানতে পারবে না। তাই ইমিডিয়েট তোমাদের কোশ্চেন করো, বিকজ আমাদের যেহেতু রামকৃষ্ণ মিশনের অ্যালামনাস, হি ইজ ভেরি হ্যাপি টু ইন্টারাক্ট উইথ ইউ। তোমাদের প্রত্যেকে কোশ্চেন, কারণ ইন্টারাক্ট করার জন্যই উনি এতটা এসছেন। তা উনি কালকেরই বাইরে চলে যাবেন, আমি রিকোয়েস্ট করার পর আজকেরই পৌঁছে গেল এই জন্য। বুঝতে পেরেছো, এতটা বিজি মানুষ, কিন্তু যে জাস্ট অনুরোধ করেছি চলে এসছেন। কিন্তু উনি এইরকম নন, উনি এতটা সম্মানীয় এবং এতটাই বিজি, ইনি তার শিডিউলটা এত বিজি যে এত সহজে এই মানুষকে পাওয়া যায় না। কিন্তু যেহেতু ভালো ব্যক্তি আর আমাদের রামকৃষ্ণ মিশনের প্রোডাক্ট, তোমরাও রামকৃষ্ণ মিশনের ছাত্র, তা সেই জন্য তোমাদের কাছে যে এই পার্টিকুলার ইন্টারাক্টিভ সেশন, সেটা একটু মিনিংফুল যেন তোমাদের হয়। কারণ যে ভবিষ্যতে তোমাদের দেখা যাবে যে এই সমস্ত মানুষগুলো ইন্টারভিউতেও তাদের কাছে দেখতে পাওয়া যাবে না, কারণ এত উঁচু লেভেলে ওরা ইন্টারভিউতেও থাকে না, খুব হাই লেভেলের মানুষ। তা কিন্তু তারা তোমাদের সামনে এসছে ইন্টারাক্ট করার জন্য। তা সেই জন্য এটা তোমাদের কাছে একটা ভেরি প্রিসিয়াস মানে অপরচুনিটি টু ইন্টারাক্ট উইথ দেম অ্যান্ড লার্ন দেয়ার এক্সপিরিয়েন্স ইন দেয়ার ওন আইস। যেটা তোমাদের কোয়ারি সেটা ওনার দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি দিয়ে উনি তখন ব্যাখ্যা করবে। তা সেইটা তো রিয়েলি রেয়ার, কারণ টিসিএসে ওনার অনেক নিচের লেভেলের ওয়ার্ক, যারা অফিসাররা তারা এইসব কাজগুলো করে। ওনার এইসব কাজ নয় এটাগুলো, উনি হাই অনেক লেভেল উপরে। ইউ ক্যানট ইমাজিন দিস টাইপ অফ পারসনস ইন হেয়ার। তা এরা এরকম এসে বলার লোক নয়, এদের আন্ডারে অনেক লোক আছে, তারা বলে বেড়ায়। তা এই হচ্ছে ব্যাপার। তা সেই জন্য আমি মহাবিদ্যালয়ের তরফ থেকে, বিশেষ করে আমাদের এই রামকৃষ্ণ মিশন বিবেকানন্দ সেন্টিনারি কলেজের তরফ থেকে ছাত্র শিক্ষক, on behalf of all, I express my heartiest regard to our Honorable Manojit Babu, Manojit Sengupta, for coming over here in this occasion. তা সেই জন্য আমি বেশি আর বলবো না, ফার্স্টেই তার স্যারকে একটু ইনভাইট করবো, আর একটু ছোটো ফেলিসিটেশান করে স্যারকেই আমার সেশন শুরু করার জন্য বলবো। একজন আসো দেখি স্যার, আপনি ওখানে চেয়ারে বসে ওটা জুতো রাখলে সুবিধা। স্যারের ল্যাপটপটা রেডি করো।
ঠিক আছে, এমনি তো ল্যাপটপটা
যদি লাগে এখানে আপনার,
হ্যাঁ ল্যাপটপ লাগানো যায়।
হ্যাঁ
তবু ল্যাপটপ
এটা থ্রু দিয়ে লাগাতে হবে। এটাই, হ্যাঁ এটাই ঠিক।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ জ্বলছে জ্বলছে।
Am I audible? পেছনের দিকে? ওকে। তো প্রথমেই মহারাজকে বিশেষভাবে আমার সশ্রদ্ধ প্রণাম আমাকে এখানে ডাকার জন্য। এবং মহারাজ যেমন বললেন, আমিও রামকৃষ্ণ মিশনারি স্টুডেন্ট, ক্লাস 6 টু ক্লাস 12 পুরুলিয়া এবং নরেন্দ্রপুর। তারপরে আমি যাদবপুরে ছিলাম। তো আমরা বাংলা ইংলিশ মিলিয়েই কথা বলবো, ঠিক আছে? আর যাদবপুর ক্যাম্পাস থেকে সেই টিসিএসে ঢুকেছিলাম এবং এখনও টিসিএসেই আছি। ওকে, তো আমি খুব বেশি স্লাইড নিয়ে আসিনি, ঠিক আছে? তোমাদের যে ধরনের প্রশ্ন মনে আসবে, এটা আমি জাস্ট অ্যাজ এ প্লেস হোল্ডার ইউজ করছি, ঠিক আছে? যেরকম প্রশ্ন মাথায় আসে সেটা আমাকে করো, আমি চেষ্টা করব তার উত্তর দিতে, ঠিক আছে? আচ্ছা, স্ক্রিনের তিনটে টার্মই তোমাদের সকলের কাছে পরিচিত: কম্পিউটেশনাল ইন্টেলিজেন্স, ডেটা সায়েন্স অ্যান্ড ক্লাউড কম্পিউটিং, ঠিক তো? আচ্ছা, আর এটাতে শুরু করার আগে let me ask few questions. First thing is, AI এই যে phenomena now we are experiencing now, do you have any idea since when scientists, mathematicians are putting effort for AI research? Phenomenonটা নিউ, কিন্তু রিসার্চ টপিকটা নিউ নয়। That is what I am trying to say. So obviously there is a question there. So how come this phenomena has not happened 40 years ago or 30 years ago? Why now? Anybody wants to answer? What is the difference, say, AI 40 years ago and now? বল। Correct. One of the reasons. Anything else? AI রান করতে গেলে কি লাগে? ডেটা, ঠিক আছে? So what has happened in the last 2 decades is, number one, বসো তুমি, number one, IoT, Internet of Things. So now every appliance you use, washing machine, okay, television set, refrigerator, car, everything, you have that sensors. যেটা ওয়াইডলি 25-30 বছর আগে ছিল না। পয়েন্ট নাম্বার 1। পয়েন্ট নাম্বার 2 ও যেটা বললো কম্পিউট পাওয়ার, and this compute power is significantly going to grow when quantum gets industrially adopted. ठीक है? So quantum computing is still pretty much in research labs and very experimentation stage now. When it gets adopted in industry, computing power will be 100 times more powerful. Okay? And the third thing, which is the reason why industry have not been able to adopt AI earlier, is absence of cloud computing. Okay? How was thing different? So if in the late 90s, if you were say one of the Fortune 500 entities, say General Electric per se, okay, if you want to roll out AI in various business aspects of your organization, and you need the compute power, first of all data was limited, but even whatever data you had, if you want to run this, the compute power you have to do in-house, which means having your own servers, okay, which is from a business point of view, as we call it, return on investment. Shobai jano what is called ROI? Yes, sir. So if I am investing in my own servers, and then if my use case does not come through, then I am stuck with that investment, correct? So return on investment was never convincing to the board, even for these large organizations. So what if it does not work out, correct? So every penny makes a lot of difference when it is coming to business decision. So cloud computing, what it has done is, it has enabled you to rent on lease. You experiment, you scale up, you don't need the additional capacity, you scale down. So your business risk is much, much lower, okay? And so you have to look at AI, why it is happening now, why it was not in 80s or 90s, is basically this combination of 3 factors. Okay. Have any one of you seen, I think there's a Hollywood movie called Perfect Storm. Keu dekhecho? Huh? So it is like coming together of few things happening at the same time, which has actually created this AI phenomena. Okay. Now, tell me 3 major scientific achievements of our species in the last century, if we have to call out top 3, okay, which has a significant impact on our daily life. I mean, not everything has been on daily life, but yes, it has impacted us in a significant way. Top 3. না এআই ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে লাস্ট সেঞ্চুরিতে আসেনি। হ্যাঁ বলো। ইন্টারনেট, হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে, different category, think differently. The reason I am calling it out, I will do a comparison of one of those specific advancement that we have done vis-a-vis what is happening in AI now. It will be easy to correlate. So technically, one is the space, you can call it space race, okay. Second is, which has impacted many of the common families, IVF, in vitro fertilization, okay, which has a significant impact on many people, okay. And the third thing is internet. Now, Bosho, now the reason I am calling it out is this AI, and if we call it AI race for supremacy in AI, and I hope you guys read newspapers, watch news on the television and on the internet. There is a race, correct? There is a lot of geopolitical tension because of rare earth metal, which is a key component for your future semiconductor technology industry, fabrication industry, correct? So this is race, and there was a race in 1950s, 60s to get into space. And how many of you know the Cuban missile disaster in early, I think 1961 or 62, which was almost on the verge where USSR and United States were up against each other to fire nuclear arms. Have any one of you read it? So almost they were on the verge of pushing the button. Okay. But what happened that time, for controlling the space race, there was an international understanding and lot of international forums came up where there was agreement on do's and don'ts. In AI, unfortunately, till date, there is no international convergence, what we should do and what we should not do. So the nations are chasing their own AI, if I can say, dream or aspiration, which ultimately goes into supremacy and control by their own. There is no international forum as yet where there is a do's and don'ts which is universally accepted by all nations. Hopefully that will happen, because AI, I'm sure all of you are aware, there are a lot of downsides of AI as well. While we talk about a lot of upsides, there's a lot of downsides as well. So for which, for us as a species, Homo sapiens, to ensure that we survive and sustain into the next century and beyond that, there has to be a control on AI deployment. Okay, what we should and what we should not do. But unfortunately, this has not happened till date, which is a major concern, which happened at a very early stage for space race. You have seen NASA, correct? You have seen astronauts, where you have astronauts even in Cold War time, so 60s, 70s, when Cold War was at the peak. Even then, there were space missions which included Russian astronauts, which included American astronauts. So when people reached the space, they did not think about their nation. They think about their entire humanity. Correct? That thought process has not evolved when it comes to AI till date. So that is what I am calling out. There has been a lot of missions where the competing nations have sent their astronauts and they have happily executed the mission 3 months, 6 months, being in the orbit or being in other satellite stations, correct? Okay. So this is quite, I would say, we are looking at a future which has got tremendous potential, but which has also got a lot of risks embedded into it. And this is my personal view, don't quote it outside. As a species, Homo sapiens as a species, correct? When a new technology has come up, like somebody said, atomic bomb, correct? There have been a lot of good things that have happened after the bomb was exploded in 1945. Okay, a lot of things, including your genetic studies, the radioactivity, the theory that was fundamental to that was even applied in genetic study as well. So a lot of good things have happened, but we started with a bad thing. So normally our track record is the initial deployment has not happened for the good reason. So that is why when you guys talk about AI, think about AI, go to the industry to deploy AI, you have to think whether whatever I am doing, is it the right thing to do. That's your own conscience call. Okay? Any questions so far? You can ask any questions. বাংলাতে, ইংরেজিতে, যেটাতে ইচ্ছে। No, AI is being used. No, it's not balloon. There has been, I will tell you. বসে বড় বলছি, AI research, it has gone beyond research lab. ঠিক আছে? It is definitely accepted in industry. When I say accepted in industry, I will get into the detail. So if I look at TCS and my customers, our customers, across industry segment, all of them have done something about AI in their business part. Okay. Now, the initial area where people are employing AI is for productivity gain, efficiency increase. When you get into a bank website, you see a web chat, correct? You get the different bots running around your screen. That is also an AI. Okay. So the initial deployment which has already happened in industry is on the automation area. That's the easy part to do. Okay. Then there are some industries, say life science, okay, or healthcare, where AI use cases have been used in much more complex situation like drug discovery. Okay, so if it has definitely been outside lab, it has been adopted in the industry, but when you look at transformative AI, that is yet to pick up in the industry because of major reason is having the right kind of data. Even the large organizations globally, and forget about the Indian companies, we struggle with data, quality data. And if you don't have quality data, your AI will not going to function. Your algorithm is not going to give you the desired result. So having the right data, right diverse data is a major challenge which industry is facing. But that is work in progress. But AI is definitely in industry, it has gone much beyond lab. And it is being adopted initially in the automation area, efficiency gain area. That's the easy part. Okay. Huh? না করতে পারছি না তা নয়, করছি না। সাস্টেনেবিলিটিতে এআই ইজ গেটিং ইউজড, কিন্তু দ্যাট উইল গেট ফার্দার রিইনফোর্সড once we bring in the quantum computing. The volume of meteorological data, even for a high powered laptop or high powered supercomputers, it is time consuming. So possibly AI and quantum computing, the first use case would be climate change and improvement in sustainability. That is the positive area that we should work. Kintu ekhono computing power has increased, but when we are looking at crunching meteorological data, historical data, say for last 80 years, রগড়াতে 80 বছর আগে কেমন ওয়েদার ছিল আজকের দিনে, and then you are looking at the historical data for last 80 years, that computation even in today's laptop or supercomputer is not going to be immediate. AI কি করবে? রান্না করে আনবে না তো। তুই মিলিটারি ডিপ্লয়মেন্ট হচ্ছে তো এআইতে। দেখো, ফার্স্ট অফ অল দের ইজ লট অফ মিলিটারি ডিপ্লয়মেন্ট। হ্যাঁ, ড্রোন operation is also kind of AI, no? You are remotely controlling. Lot of military deployment and experimentation is happening. The question is, if you make it too much autonomous, machine will not understand whether this is right or wrong. What is the difference between the intelligence, machine intelligence and human intelligence? We have a conscience. Before you press the button, we think, should we or should we not? Machine will not think. So military deployment in AI for border protection, autonomous surveillance has a huge risk. It will be, and that may be not welcome. You have to have enough human oversight on that. So you can't leave it 100% to machine. তো তুমি যেটা বলছো সেটা over a period of time definitely AI will play a bigger role in your border protection. But I hope it will never be 100%. Because if it is 100%, it will have a huge risk for us. হচ্ছে তো ইমেজ প্রসেসিং তো দিন রাত হচ্ছে তোমার এই যে আজকাল যে স্ক্যান করছো স্ক্যান করে তুমি যেটা তো ডাক্তারদের থেকে এআই ডিটারমিনস বেটার ক্যান্সার ডিটেকশন ম্যালিগন্যান্ট সেল ডিটেকশন এআই ইজ ডুইং মাচ বেটার দ্যান doctors.
But cannot generate the proper report by X-ray image processing or
See, there are other social factors you have to understand. If AI start doing everything, then the people who are getting into job as radiologist, what will they do? So it varies from society to society. In Indian context, there are scenarios which, if it gets heavily deployed in our day-to-day life, it may trigger job loss. Okay, which is going to create a lot of social unrest. Ajge, what is happening, and human should be in the loop. So AI is reading the image, reading the scan report, generating a report, but that is not getting handed over to you because someone is verifying it, which is required, and then signing it. So first thing is machine can also go wrong because of the data on which it has been trained. The data itself may not be enough. There could be bias. There are a lot of ugly stories. Any one of you read Economic Times on a daily basis? In Economic Times, there is a section, Good, Bad and Ugly, which talks about very simple AI deployment scenarios. Okay, so there are a lot of ugly instances which has happened not only in India, globally. Certain segments of the population have been triggered, have been identified because the data that was fed in did not include representative sample from that particular diversity. Okay, some cases there are evidences, there are instances like this where in a particular kind of job, women have not got anything because the data which was fed was mostly data from the male community. So you cannot depend solely on machine because it will take decision based on which it has been trained, and the training process, the inherent data can have bias, and it does have bias. So supervision should be there, but what is going to happen is the tedious repetitive work should be done by machines, and we should go for higher, more enriching creative work. That should be the target. The target is not to take human completely out of the loop. We have a population of 8 billion globally, correct? So what will happen to them? And it is not safe as well. Okay, so you have to think that social consideration. So the problem will be much more acute in countries like India, in countries like which are still developing countries. Okay, in Western world, because their population is comparatively lower than the population density I am saying. Okay, so they may benefit more from automation. In India, if we do this automation in a mass scale, it will trigger a lot of job loss. So you have to balance it. Any other question? Okay, so this is just placeholder slides. What happened? Is it readable? Yeah. So this is it's a convergence of three things: computational intelligence, data science, and cloud computing. And there is a kind of comparison to what does it mean. Say, we human scientists, researchers, has always aspired, not now, last 50, 70, 80 years, they are aspiring to create a replica of our brain. Neuroscientists, they are heavily into that. Okay, so you can say this intelligence, the machine intelligence, is kind of an attempt towards replicating your brain. Okay, but what is missing there? Emotion is there, but if I just look at intelligence, then what is missing there, which machine has not been able to at least gain till date, is the contextual knowledge, contextual intelligence. Okay, because when our brain is working today, in terms of compute power, machines are much superior than our human brain. Only compute power. This laptop compute power is much more powerful than my neuron compute power. But what it does not have is the contextual interpretation and then making a decision on that. Correct. So that is still lacking in machine, and that is where your data comes in. So it is trying to gather the knowledge from data. Correct. But if you just notice a child, a toddler, when it is growing up, how is he learning? He or she, the baby is learning by looking at people around. Okay, they are actually watching, observing their parents. Okay, and then trying to mimic the behavior that is being demonstrated by their parents. So that is why in some cases it is told that if the kids, the babies who have or during their young age, if they have been in a family which was not very peaceful, and I would say if they have seen a lot of violence, lot of arguments, they kind of pick it up, because that is what they believe should be the way of dealing with people. Correct. So that observation is trying to be factored in through the modeling that is happening now. So data science brings in the historical data, machine finds the pattern, and then we are writing algorithms to predict from that pattern. But still what is missing is, and what is where it is inferior is, what our brain is capable to do, make some contextual analysis and making a decision on that. Okay. So hopefully in 20-30 years time that will happen. Okay. There are a lot of interesting books. If you read some of them, it will appear like science fiction, but they are written by top AI scientists and researchers. Okay. Have any one of you read a book called Singularity is Near or Singularity is Nearer by the same writer? So I think around 2005-2006 he has written a book called Singularity is Near, and few years ago he has written a book which is called Singularity is Nearer. Okay, by the same author. So if you get a chance, read the book. You will feel kind of surprised what he is projecting, what he is predicting. And in some cases, Elon Musk has already attempting that. So it may not be a science fiction anymore, because what is being told is our brain will be plugged into cloud, which means, as I said, computing power of the machine is many more, 10 to the power x, I have forgotten what is the value of x, is much more powerful than our brain's computing power today. Okay. So if my brain can be plugged into cloud, and then you experience your surroundings through that, it is being predicted that the perception of reality, how do we gain reality? That I am standing here, you are sitting there, okay, based on my sensory organs, correct? It's all about my senses. And again, as a species, other than the brain, the cognitive ability, we are actually much inferior than most of the species that exist today on earth. Whether our vision, whether our hearing, whether our taste buds, there are hundreds of much more efficient species than us, correct? What dog can hear, we cannot hear. It is our brain's limitation. What some of the, like we see only 7 major colors, correct? There are species which can see 48 different shades, 40 different shades of colors. So other than our cognitive ability, we are not superior in any sense in comparing to many other species. So now, but that is what we find as reality. Whatever I am experiencing is my reality. But the actual reality, again, it is becoming science fiction. Actual reality may not be same. So have any one of you seen the Matrix movie? Yeah, so that can happen. It may be a world controlled by computer, and we are into that, and we experience that, and we think that as a reality. So if it happens, read the book. I think you guys need to read more books on this topic, and it will make you curious. Okay, if it happens, then we will be able to process different senses that is surrounding us much faster, and then we may feel reality in a different way. So the reality that we are experiencing now, and 20 years down the line, the reality that whoever will be leveraging technology in that way may have a different experience. He's already started experimenting. So that will give you much more higher computing power. Okay, so now we are in a situation where there's a lot of science fiction stuff, okay, which may actually happen in 20 years from today. Correct. This you guys must be knowing, like how this is getting, the scientists are working on it, neural networks, fuzzy systems. So different ways of looking at or simulating your neuron activities in the machine, correct? We talked about data. I think at an industrial scale, the major challenge that we face is cleaning data. It's a major challenge, and not only in India, everywhere globally, and even with the top big companies. There are a couple of reasons for that. Okay, I mean, if I just simply explain, first of all, if you look at an organization like, say, I am taking General Electric because they are a multinational in true sense. They have been in different continents for over 100, almost probably 70 years plus. So in different countries, over a period of time, they have acquired different other companies, and those companies had a different way of working, different computational systems. Okay, so this integration at a corporate level or at a consulate level, industry has not achieved. They are still struggling. Okay, so when Amazon is, and some variation is required. So Amazon is selling here, and Amazon is selling in North America. The consumer behavior will not be exactly same. And we just take a high level example. In Indian market, value for money could be much more weightage than in a developed world. Correct? So when you are putting your promotions, you have to look at the value for money, how to attract an Indian consumer, say during Christmas, during 26th January. Okay, in the same selling technique may not apply in, say, Nordics countries. So they may have a different connotation. Okay, so variations are required, obviously required. Your selling strategy will vary from continent to continent, country to country, society to society. Within same country, there are different subsegments. So it's getting into the term marketing terminology. Even all Indians will not buy the same product, correct? So you have to subsegment. When I say Indians, you have to subsegment urban versus rural versus different classifications are there. So sometimes the variation is required, but that is an advantage and that also is a disadvantage. In a sense, when you are looking at a global strategy, that may work as a drawback for you. because you cannot define a global strategy. Your strategies will be local because your data is local. Okay, so without getting into much details on this, there are hundreds of scenarios like this, but data, the right data is a major challenge. Okay, there is now with IoT, suppose you are driving a Tesla car, okay, or any autonomous vehicle, lot of data is there. Lot of insurance companies, I think somebody was saying why industry is not doing that. Lot of insurance premiums are getting calculated based on real life driving data of yours. It is already there. We have worked with projects with our customers, insurance companies, where all this data goes in, like while you are driving, your driving speed, how you brake, whether you are a rash driver or a safe driver, all this data gets captured, and when it comes for your insurance premium renewal, they factor that in. It's already there in industry. Okay, so lot of good things are also happening where this technology, AI, ML, deep learning is getting used, which will have a lot of efficiency and productivity gain. So business is much more focused on efficiency and productivity gain. And in the process, some jobs will be lost. It has to happen because some people are doing those manual work today. But till date, in our track record, when I say our means humanity track record, the net job loss has not happened. I will give another example. Say when there was before motorized vehicle, correct? You have, what did you have? People used to go in horse driven vehicles, correct? Or in India you had cow or bullock cart, okay? So the driving skill of a horse carriage is different from driving a motor vehicle, correct? So when this transition was happening, lot of people who were engaged in that horse carriage driving were very concerned. I am talking about 200 years ago. But ultimately, you require them to be reskilled. Problem is, I think as a student committee, this is something you should remember. If you forget everything, remember one thing, which is going to be more critical going forward, is your intent and ability to learn new skill. This is going to differentiate you from another person. So some fellows 200 years ago, they refused to learn how to drive a motor car, so they went jobless. But the people who migrated, started driving motor cars, they all existed. And if you look at number of motor cars, actually more than horse driven carriages, correct? So there have been never job loss. Even internet. In India, there was a lot of issues. I still remember when we were in college, when different government institutions were adopting computers, lot of strikes, cholbe na, hobe na, job jabe. But ultimately, has it happened? So many new professions have come in. Okay, look at terminology which is gig worker. All of you know who is a gig worker? Did it exist 10 years ago? We had Amazon, only few. But how many people are employed in as a gig worker today? So till date, I don't know what will happen through AI. I will come to that. But till date, in any major technology shift, jobs created has always exceeded job loss. Now here what will happen because of AI? Definitely job loss will happen, the clerical job. Average people will struggle. Let me be blunt. Average people will struggle. How many of you do computer science? You guys have to keep in mind that if your programming skills are average, machine will do better coding than you, and is already being implemented. Okay, where code will be generated by machines, correct? And that code will be better than the code that you will write. So the average performance will struggle. What it will leave outside is the expertise. Now, the machine can write code, but there will be lot of jobs around the data that the program will consume to give you the output. To understand the data, and this is something you guys hopefully will remember, domain knowledge will be a key differentiator. Okay, and when I say domain knowledge, it is actually the industry angle, the industry part, and interpretation of the data, kind of domain knowledge. Suppose you are collecting data on a minority community in India. You are going to launch a social benefit program, some kind of benefit program by the government. So they require data. Different communities, different economic kind of scale they are, okay, their earning capacity, all those things data have to be that. And if the data is not right, the outcome could be bad for certain sections. So this getting absolutely ensuring that the right data is there and right data is being fed and the machine is being trained on the right data, and then whatever machine outcome is, to verify that data, cross check that data and implement an event. So in this particular case, take that data to the kind of a pilot and see whether all segments are equally taken care, there is no bias. And so lot of that work is very limited today, very, very limited today. So lot of new jobs will come in compliance. Got my point? The legal guys will make a lot of money because lot of new sections, clauses will come in where this AI data related cases will come up. Okay, so jobs will be created, definitely will be created. Now whether that will be more than the number of jobs lost is something to be seen, but enough jobs will be created. So there are, bluntly if I say, if you ask this question to 10 guys in the industry or with the experts, half of them will be saying net job loss will not happen, and some of them will be having a more pessimistic view that yes, net loss can happen. These are the two broad line views already there. But the point is, as an individual, you have to be flexible. Now, if I take my example, when I passed out 30 years ago, it was mostly mainframe. Okay, then it was client server. Okay, I am talking about the technologies. Okay, then post Y2K, it is internet. So digital technologies came in. Okay, now we are talking about AI. So whatever I have learned in my college days, if I had a approach that beyond that I will only do that part of what the work and nothing new I will learn, then I would have been obsolete by now. Now in our case, probably whatever, because the technology was shifting every 3 years, 5 years. If you look at client server to internet to digital technology, you will see a gap of 5-6 years. Okay. So whatever I learned for client server, if I can say, kept me in good space for next 5 years. Okay, but then I have to learn again. For you guys, that period may come down to 12 months. So don't lose your learning ability. Read every day beyond your books. That is going to be differentiator for you and individually, and you have to be open. So you guys must have heard the terminology: unlearn, learn, relearn. How many of you heard this? So it's important to unlearn. Don't carry the baggage. Learn new things. Then again relearn. So that is going to differentiate you in future. So you guys have to be aware of the technology shift. Don't just limit yourself to the course curriculum. Okay. Go for some. There's enough material now available online. Lot of training programs that you can participate online. Online certification, online. You can have a full 2 years course online today. So while you are doing pursuing this syllabus, you can do something else. A 6 months program, 12 months program. Try to keep yourself to survive better than average. Don't become average. Okay, that is going to be the differentiator. So keep it in your mind. If only one thing you have to keep in mind is don't stop learning. Okay. I think we talked about cloud computing. I think this must be known to you guys. How do they work together? Is it clear? Can you guys read through? I think the back benchers may not be able to read it. So data science identifies the problem and prepares the massive data sets. Computational intelligence and deep learning gets the insight out of that. And your cloud computing is basically the infrastructure, the ability to process. Okay. Just read through. I will stop for a couple of minutes. Is it okay? Or any questions? Should I move on? Emerging trends. What is edge computing? Why do we need edge computing? Who wants to answer? Have you guys heard the term edge computing? Huh? What is the edge? Edge, this is the edge of this table, correct? So where is the data? Data is in the device, correct? In your, say, iPhone or Android or your laptop. So the ideal way of computing is you transfer this data, correct? Then you process that data. So what happens there? There is a latency. But if you can compute at the edge of the device, and then take the outcome to the next level, which means the processing will happen much faster. So there is a huge interest in edge computing because of the volume of the data. So if I am easily generating 1 terabyte of data, and then I take 100 minutes to transfer that data so that I can start my processing, then it will not be real time, correct? Suppose you are doing a robo surgery. So what will the doctor will do? Oh, data is coming, let me just hang on there. Huh? I have cut the belly, then I am waiting. I have not got the next instruction. Data transfer has not happened, maybe the broadband is running slow. Okay. So in real life situation, in critical decision making, the solution that we are looking at is edge computing. So it's not only computing, it is edge computing. So this is a big trend now, okay. Obviously green cloud from a sustainability point of view, and this is a major drawback of AI as we know today. Consumes huge electricity. Huh? Which is concerning from a climate point of view. So if my data centers are green, which is not using conventional electricity, or like what is called, like your not green, basically black, okay, so then it's a problem, because to process this data I need huge amount of power, and if that power is not being sourced from green sources, we will end up in doing much more damage to the environment, okay. So, good thing and bad thing, okay? In drug discovery, AI has been phenomenally successful. And there are actually lots of fantastic examples in a way that if it had been done by human, I mean, I'm just giving a hypothetical, don't take it by literally by the value, but hypothetically the scale is something like that. Yet X number, say 20-30 member team probably would have taken 30 years to, even if they could, even after that they may not be successful, but could have taken 30 years to come to a discovery, which AI can do it in months, if not less than months, because AI is fantastic in pattern matching. There is no, and we will not be able to compete there. Okay, human brain will not be able to compute there. So, how many of you play chess? Okay, let me ask a question. So, what is the most valuable piece on the chessboard? King is, you do checkmate with king, but king is like, doesn't have much of mobility. Queen, okay. So, whoever is playing chess, all of us try to protect queen, correct? Do you know when this actual game happened, machine versus grandmaster? AI came up with a strategy where he sacrificed queen. We have never thought about that. When I say humanity, like we are playing chess for more than 30 years, we means we as a humanity, we are playing chess. It's a very old game, correct? More than 3000 years we are playing chess. We have never deviated from this basic assumption that at any cost I have to protect queen. And this algorithm, it was self-trained, it played against itself for 4 hours, then played the grandmaster, and this is actually recorded, the moves, I have forgotten the number of the move, Xth move actually, where he sacrificed queen, but won the game. And when this happened, there were so many grandmasters in the audience, they were just surprised. How can machine think like that, which we have never thought. So this is unique. So this has happened in drug discovery. If you feed into this molecular, different molecular structures, it has identified patterns which humans have not been able to isolate. And that is where drug discovery time has come down significantly, drastically. But I will tell you a negative story also. In our body, there are many toxins, which is very, very harmful, correct? There is a story, I have forgotten where it has happened. Some scientist created an algorithm for an academic purpose, just to test it, okay? To ask the algorithm to identify a venomous, a poison, with the toxins of our body. I think within 6 hours, the machine identified, I forgot the actual number, 6-7 poisons. Some of them are more poisonous than cobra bite. Correct. So it all depends on how we use AI. We can use AI for identifying life-saving drugs. We can also use AI to get the most lethal poison. End of the day, it is same for him, same for the machine. You are asking him to generate some output based on certain pattern, based on certain molecular structure data. So whatever you feed in, it will create an output. It doesn't know what is good or bad. And that is where human should be always there. You cannot leave machine. So even if today, I'm just joking, don't take it seriously. Even if today Mr. Trump wants to press the button against Iran, he will think twice, whatever his state of mind is. Machine will not think even second time. You ask machine to press the button, it will press the button. But even Mr. Trump will think few times, okay? Take it on a light note, I'm just joking.
So human is needed. So don't think about this environment where human is completely outside the loop. Okay, smart cities, you guys are aware. Financial fraud transaction, you guys are aware. Is a good use case of identify fraudulent transactions. Okay. So, any questions? না জবের সংখ্যা কমবে কিনা আমি জানি না, কিছু রিপিটিটিভ জব কমবে, রিপিটিভ জব দরকার হবে না। চায়না, হ্যাঁ তুমি চায়নার ইতিহাসটা একটু, ইতিহাস জিওগ্রাফিটা একটু ভালো করে দেখো। দ্য সাইড অফ চায়না হুইচ উই নো is from Shanghai, Beijing and this Hangzhou and other cities. If you go to their villages, this lot of poverty is there. Okay. Now, in say two things, in an economic way, suppose in a textile mill, some work is getting done manually and some work is happening through robot. First of all, robots do not need break. They can work 24/7. End of the day, we workers will need a break. They will go to toilet. Robot will not go to the toilet. They will take a lunch break. Okay. They will, after 8 hours, there will be a shift change. So the volume that can be generated with robots, pure play, in repetitive work, you just keep hammering a nail in your car assembly line. Obviously, robot will hammer much better. Now, and there, not only they will hammer more nails, they will also do it in a much more perfect way. মানুষের হলে হাতটা একটু কেঁপে গেল, হাতটা টায়ার্ড হয়ে গেছে, একটু পাশে গিয়ে পড়লো, robot will not do that, correct? So, end of the day, quality of the product and volume of the product will be much higher if you are using machines in this kind of scenario. সেক্ষেত্রে আমার যদি একটা টেক্সটাইল মিল থাকে আর তোমারও একটা টেক্সটাইল মিল আছে, তুমি রোবট ইউজ করছো আর আমি ম্যানুয়াল লেবার দিয়ে করাচ্ছি, do you think I will be able to compete with you? So it doesn't make any difference whether it is China or India. Okay, in certain segments, if we do not deploy machines, our quality of the product and quantity of the product will not be competitive in the global market. Full stop. So it has to happen. India-te adoption-ta deri kore asche. Dekho, there are a lot of advantage. Again, my personal view, the way China is structured politically, it's a kind of a communist party dictatorship, if you can say. It is easy for them to implement. We being a democracy, we have a problem, which is also a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. If we're just looking at the industrial output, we will always be lagging behind, because এই যে মেট্রো হচ্ছে কলকাতা শহরে কত বছর ধরে হচ্ছে, এবং অনেক জায়গাতে গিয়ে দেখবে the certain areas construction is not happening because two guys have gone to the court challenging the decision of, say, suppose demolishing their house or something, and that is stuck for 10 years. এটা যদি চায়না হতো, and there are real life examples of that, they will release a note saying for public interest I need to occupy this, the next day they will come and destroy the house and the road will be up and running for within few months. Now if you are not that household, তোমার বাড়ি নয়, তুমি খালি ড্রাইভ করে রাস্তা দিয়ে যাবে, you will be surprised to see, see this road has happened in 1 month. যতক্ষণ তোমার বাড়ি না ততক্ষণ তুমি সেটা ভাববে, যখন তোমার বাড়ি হবে then things will be different, correct? So we being a democracy, we cannot apply this rule what sometimes you can apply in China. So there are a lot of social, economic perspectives. It's not that India is not doing good, India is actually doing pretty good. But we have started, in my view, 20 years behind. So we have a big catch up to do. I mean, economically, do you guys interest in economics? I have not studied economics, but I do a lot of extra reading. And economics is one of my favorite subjects. late 1980s, per capita income was more or less same for China and India. And after so much of shining India, what is our per capita income today? Correct. And China is around 13,000 USD. But in early late 80s, 88, 89, when the two economies diverged, it was same. So we have a catch up to do. We will catch up. But not always being the first boy is the great thing. How many first boys are here? Sometimes to become the first boy, you become very competitive. You don't support your classmate, literally, correct? You may ensure that he loses marks. Those are not the right attribute, correct? So it's okay. As long as a nation we can catch up, is okay. But we are catching up. The economic data prove that we are growing at a faster rate, so it will happen. Okay. Any other question? Okay. এই লাইটটা জ্বলে গেল কেন লে অফের সময়? আচ্ছা, এটা কিন্তু আমি TCSR হিসাবে আনসারটা করছি না, because I am being part of the management. If you ask me to give an official response, then I will stick to the management line. So don't quote me outside যে TCSR একজনের সেই কথা বলে গেছে। But unofficially what I can say is the majority of the people who, it has actually not 12,000. The real life, if you guys have seen the quarterly result and declaration from TCS on this topic, the actual number is around 6,000. So 12,000 was told to the press that this is kind of a target number, but actually this has been less than half of that. But the people who have been identified broadly demonstrate two characteristics. Number one, lack of flexibility. Okay. And along with that, there are some disciplinary reasons. Okay. Now I will expand a little bit. In our profession, in our IT job, mobility is pretty much mandatory. Okay. If I look at myself in the last 30 years, I have been to 15, 16 countries, short term, long term, medium term, in different capacity. Sometimes I have gone and stayed alone for 4 years, 5 years in a different country. I was in Australia for 4 years alone. I was in Malaysia for 3.5 years alone. Okay. I was in UK for 8 years, US for 2 years, Europe, Germany, Switzerland, Japan, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore. I've been to many countries. Mobility is and also the same thing within India. If there could be personal challenges, but that cannot be forever. But some people come to a mind block where they will not move from Kolkata. Whatever happens, I need my project in Kolkata. That always may not serve the company purpose, because the skill that you have, there could be a requirement, urgent requirement in Mumbai, there could be urgent requirement in Delhi, so this flexibility is required. Some of them were not showing that flexibility. Second thing is, post-COVID, since you talked about COVID, TCS came up with a 5 days a week in office in 2022, early 2023. Before that it was 3 days a week, then it was made 5 days a week. But many people did not follow that. They kept on finding excuses to not come to office. They were cautioned, HR has issued letters, still they thought, they preferred to ignore that. Okay. Whether you like it or do not like it doesn't matter. Company has taken a policy position that we want our employees 5 days in office. and this is a compliance issue. Correct? And there are instances where people have come to office but only have stayed for an hour and gone back. I don't know how that be helpful to the guy, but people have done that. So people post-COVID, there was a section of people who were manipulating the so-called flexibility, which was in contrary to company policy. So this number I'm talking about is a combination of many aspects. So these two aspects were there, and the other major aspect was intent to upgrade skill-wise themselves. So as I said, we are looking at a future-ready workforce. You have to be willing to learn new things. You cannot go back and say, oh, I am 20 years, I am not willing to learn this thing now. I will do whatever I have been doing. Then you are not being supportive of the company policy. So it's a mix of reasons. There is no one reason for that. People have been identified, applying different criteria. HR has followed the due diligence process, and it has been. But mostly, and the official messaging was also like future ready workforce, and where it was not fitting into the individuals who were not fitting into that dimension. Okay. ক্লাসের বাইরে কি করেছো? অল্প আড্ডা না, প্রোডাক্টিভ কি করেছো? The question is what productive activities you have done outside your course curriculum. See, I referred to that in between, that online, if you have the interest and if you actually want to do, so many things can be done now. Beyond this class, when the class gets over, you go back, you register in an online program, maybe 2 months program, 3 months program on AI, on ML, on data science. So many courses are there with a very nominal cost. Some of them are also kind of in different capacity. You can also get a lot of reduction, discount, stuff like that. So if I have one position to be filled and I get 2 guys coming from the similar standard institute, I'm telling this on a serious note, coming with a similar grade institute, has scored more or less similar marks in written test, or TCS has a national qualified test. I don't know how many of you are aware. So your score in the national qualified test is more or less same. The differentiating criteria would be how or what you have done beyond your course curriculum for your self-improvement. That's important. ধরো তোমাদের পরীক্ষা হয়ে গেল মে মাসে, কথা বলছে, তুমি ধরো চাকরি ইন্টারভিউতে বসছো জুলাই মাসে, 2 মাস যদি খালি ঘুমিয়ে থাকো, তুমি ঘুম থেকে উঠেছো, শুয়েছো, গল্প বই পড়েছো, vis-a-vis somebody যে তাই 2 মাসের মধ্যে একটা কোর্স করেছে, who do you think you will employ? So don't waste your time. When I say don't waste your time, use your time to learn new things. And whatever you learn in that online course doesn't mean that that will be useful 5 years from today. That's not the point. The point is your mindset. So what the recruiter is looking at is at your mindset. Are you willing to learn? Are you curious enough? Because the technology change that is happening, if you don't have a curious mind, you will not be able to step into that. So do that on a serious note.
Foreign student ki eligible certificate.
Huh?
Foreign student ki eligible certificate se apply kar like Bangladesh.
TCS এর যে এনকিউটিটা হয় সেটা স্পেসিফিক্যালি ফর ইন্ডিয়ান স্টুডেন্টস, কিন্তু টিসিএস যে ফরেন হায়ারিংগুলো করে সেগুলোতে 2 রকম জিনিস হয়। একটা হচ্ছে যে ইফ ইউ হ্যাভ ফর এনআরআই কমিউনিটি, লট অফ কিডস উইল হ্যাভ ওসিআই, ওভারসিজ সিটিজেনশিপ কার্ড, there is a OCI card, okay. So if someone is qualifying with that criteria, I think, I have to double check, I think they are eligible to be hired. Otherwise, I mean, I'm not talking about Bangladesh, we don't hire from Bangladesh, but in other places like in Australia, Japan, Malaysia, Singapore, US, UK, we hire in that market fresh college students, but they are hired in that market. So in UK, if you are passing out from an UK with an UK college with a say graduation in comp science, we have our HR who is hiring in the UK market. এবার ইউকে মার্কেটে কেউ যদি ওখানে, so there are multiple choices, you can be hired there then transferred here if you want to, and if you have this OCI card that which makes eligible as per India Government of India rules to work in India, you can get a transfer. Otherwise, mostly Indian citizens. হ্যাঁ ছিলাম তো, এককালে ছিলাম এই যুগে। আচ্ছা তুমি বলো কি চলছে এখন বাজারে? ফগ চলছে? ধরো তুমি ধরো পিওর, হ্যাঁ মানে তুমি পিওর প্লে ধরো ফিজিক্স ম্যাথস বললে, তাই তো? ম্যাথস অনার্স নিয়ে পড়ছো। এবারে তোমাদের কারিকুলাম আমি জানি না কি কভার করা হয়, ধরো স্পেসিফিক, আমি জাস্ট টেকিং অ্যান হাইপোথেটিক্যাল এক্সাম্পল, ধরো ডেটা সায়েন্স। ডেটা সায়েন্সে ধরো তোমাদের একটা পেপার আছে উইথ সার্টেন 3 ক্রেডিট পয়েন্টস, 4 ক্রেডিট পয়েন্টস, হোয়াট এভার ইট ইজ। ওই কারিকুলামটা কতটা ডেপথে সেটাও আমি জানি না, কি কভার করে। ইউ ক্যান গো ফর এ মাচ মোর ডিটেল ডেটা সায়েন্স প্রোগ্রাম। তুমি তোমার কোর্সে যেটা শিখছো, ইউ ক্যান স্টে অ্যাডজাসেন্ট টু দ্যাট, বাট ইউ মে ডিপ ডাইভ, ইউ ক্যান ডু এ সার্টিফিকেশন অন দ্যাট। এবার তোমার এক্সাক্ট কারিকুলাম আমার জানা নেই, যেন তোমার আনসারটা দেওয়া খুব ডিফিকাল্ট। কিন্তু ধরো এই AI, ML, ডেটা সায়েন্স, ইট ইজ অবভিয়াস টু অল অফ ইউ দ্যাট future job will be very much influenced by these technologies. এবং ডোমেন নলেজ, ইউ ট্রাই টু গ্যাদার সাম ডোমেন নলেজ ইন স্পেসিফিক ইন্ডাস্ট্রি। শুধু ম্যাথস অনার্স বলে চাকরি পাওয়া আর ম্যাথস অনার্সের সাথে আমি ইন্স্যুরেন্স ডোমেনটা জানি উইল বি ডিফারেন্ট। বুঝতে পেরেছো? It is the application of your theory that is becoming crucial. কম্পিউটার সায়েন্সের লোকেরা আগে প্রোগ্রামিং করতো, গোয়িং ফরওয়ার্ড মেশিন প্রোগ্রামিং করবে, তাহলে why do I need a computer scientist? Definitely 60, 70, 80% code will be generated by machines 5 years from today. এই ভলিউমে লাগবে না, সুতরাং তার সাথে ইউ ডু সামথিং এক্সট্রা, something which is related to domain, something related to beyond your course curricula or deep dive into your curricula. Okay? Bolo. হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ শেখো, কিন্তু সেগুলো শেখো তুমি যখন, আমি কোর্সেরার হয়ে কোনো অ্যাডভার্টাইজিং করছি না, কিন্তু আমি যেটা বলতে চাইছি সেটা হচ্ছে যে একটা তুমি ধরো ইউটিউব থেকেই শিখেছো, খুব ভালো কথা। তুমি যখন ইন্টারভিউতে বলবে যে এটা আমি জানি, আমি তখন তোমাকে যে ইন্টারভিউ নিচ্ছে জিজ্ঞেস করবে হাউ হ্যাভ ইউ লার্নড, তুমি বলবে আমি ইউটিউব থেকে শিখেছি। অন ফেস ভ্যালু হি উইল সে, বাট দেন হি উইল আস্ক ইউ ফিউ কোয়েশ্চেন্স। তুমি যদি সেটা আনসার দিতে পারো খুব ভালো, তুমি যদি আনসার না দিতে পারো তখন দ্য গাই মে কনক্লুড যে ইউ আর ব্লাফিং, কোনো এভিডেন্স নেই যে তুমি পড়েছো বলে। এবার আমি সব ক্ষেত্রে বলছি না, কিছু কিছু ক্ষেত্রে ওয়্যার ইট ইজ কস্ট এফেক্টিভ এবং মানে ইকোনমিক্যালি ভায়াবল, তুমি যদি একটা সার্টিফিকেশন করো দেন ইউ হ্যাভ অ্যান এভিডেন্স বিকজ ইউ হ্যাভ এ সার্টিফিকেট। সার্টিফিকেটটা যদি তারপরও প্রশ্ন করবে, বাট দ্যাট গিভস এ ডকুমেন্টারি প্রুফ দ্যাট ইউ হ্যাভ কভার্ড দিস সাবজেক্ট। ইউটিউবে শিখতে কোনো আপত্তি নেই, বাট ইউ হ্যাভ টু আনসার দ্য কোয়েশ্চেন অন দ্য ডিউরিং দ্য ইন্টারভিউ। করো, ভালো তো, সেটা বলবে, ইউ ক্যান এক্সপ্লেন দ্যাট যে আমি শিখে এটা করেছি, দ্যাট ইজ হোয়াট পিপল উইল অ্যাপ্রিসিয়েট। তোমাকে তখন প্রজেক্টটা এক্সপ্লেন করতে হবে তুই এক্স্যাক্টলি কী করেছো, কীভাবে করেছো, কী লজিক লাগিয়েছো। সো ইউ হ্যাভ টু বি ক্লিয়ার হোয়াট এক্স্যাক্টলি ইউ হ্যাভ ডান। ফাইন, সবসময় পয়সা দিয়ে পড়াটা তো ইম্পর্টেন্ট। সার্টিফিকেটটা ব্রিংস ইন অ্যাডিশনাল ভ্যালু বিকজ ইউ হ্যাভ এ ডকুমেন্টারি এভিডেন্স, দ্যাটস অল। কিন্তু তারপরেও লোকে প্রশ্ন করবে, তুমি উত্তর না দিতে পারলে অ্যাজুম করবে যে তুমি ঠিক করে পড়োনি। ঠিক আছে, বলো। স্যার কাম ইয়ার ফার্স্ট ইয়ার, শুনতে পেলাম না, জোরে বলো। হ্যাঁ, এনকিউটিটা ক্যাম্পাস নয়, এনকিউটিটা গ্লোবালি মানে ইন্ডিয়াতে ওপেন প্ল্যাটফর্মে হয়। আচ্ছা, আমি let me explain TCS hiring process, okay? TCS hiring process টা একটু ইউনিক in a sense. Most of the companies go for campus hiring, ঠিক আছে? TCS ও এককালে ক্যাম্পাস হায়ারিং করতো। 2015-16 এরকম সময় থেকে, আমি এক্স্যাক্টলি একটা মনে নেই আমার, TCS came up with this concept of NQT, National Qualifier Test, which is conducted online. And any Indian resident student, there is an eligibility criteria, some marks and certain say, category, but broadly anybody can sit in. এবং বসেও মেঘালয় মণিপুর থেকেও বসে, দিল্লি বোম্বে থেকেও বসে, ঝাড়গ্রাম থেকেও বসে, রিমোট প্লেস থেকেও বসে। দ্যাট ওয়াজ দ্য পারপাস অফ লঞ্চিং দিস হায়ারিং অন এ ডিজিটাল প্ল্যাটফর্ম, ঠিক আছে? সো দ্যাট এনিবডি ক্যান সিট ইন টু দ্যাট এক্সাম। এটা মিডিয়াতে ব্রডকাস্ট করা হয়। তোমাদের কলেজে খবরটা আসে কিনা আমি জানি না, আদারওয়াইজ গোয়িং ফরওয়ার্ড উই হ্যাভ এ হায়ারিং ডিভিশন, উই কল ইট ট্যালেন্ট অ্যাকুইজিশন গ্রুপ। I can ask them, মহারাজ যদি কোনো একটা কন্ট্যাক্ট পয়েন্ট দেন, উই ক্যান গিভ দেম এ মেলার অর সামথিং। বাট বছরে একবার তো হয়ই, অনেক সময় দুবারও হয়, ঠিক আছে? সো টিল কোভিড or during COVID, that was the only channel, ঠিক আছে? Post COVID, last 2 years, we are running hybrid channels. When I say hybrid channel, TCS has, I mean this group particularly, TAG as I called, Talent Acquisition Team group, based on NRIF ranking, there is a set of identified colleges which are known as premium colleges. I'm just giving an example. I don't know whether your college is part of that list or not, but in West Bengal, for example, I will take some names: IIT Kanpur, Jadavpur, Shivpur, okay? Then your some of the private colleges as well who have got a good rating: Heritage, IEM, Techno. So there are few colleges, I think 11 or 12, where our hiring team goes in the campus. ক্যাম্পাসে কেন যায়? ক্যাম্পাসে যায় যেমন আমি তোমাদের সাথে কথা বলছি, ওই টিমটা গিয়ে স্টুডেন্টদের সাথে কথা বলে, টু মেক দেম অ্যাওয়্যার যে কবে এনকিউটি হবে। সো নাও দেয়ার আর 2 NQTs. One NQT, the first pass, only include the premium colleges. So any student coming from the premium college sit in that exam, okay? But exam is online. কিন্তু প্রথমে একটা ওরিয়েন্টেশন সেশন হয়, ঠিক আছে? সেটা হয়ে যাওয়ার পরে ইন্টারভিউটা ফিজিক্যাল, ঠিক আছে? ইন্টারভিউটা হয়ে গেল, ওই প্রসেসটা কমপ্লিট হওয়ার পরে দেন উই লঞ্চ দ্য কমন এনকিউটি ওয়ার এনিবডি ক্যান সিট ইন। সেটা এই বছরে এখনও হয়নি, হয়তো এই মাসে কি পরের মাসে হবে, ঠিক আছে? বাট দিস ইজ টার্গেটিং স্টুডেন্টস হু আর টেকনিক্যালি পাসিং আউট নেক্সট ইয়ার, বুঝতে পেরেছো? সাম অফ দেম ক্যান সিট। এবার যারা ধরো প্রিমিয়াম কলেজেরও, ধরো সে প্রথমবারে ভালো করেনি, দ্য পার্সন ক্যান এগেন সিট ইন দ্য সেকেন্ড ওয়ান, দেয়ার ইজ নো প্রবলেম ইন দ্যাট, ঠিক আছে? বেশ কিছু রিপিট করা যায়, কিন্তু পরীক্ষার ইন্টারফেসটা ইনকিউটি। প্রিমিয়াম কলেজ হলে ইউ গেট 2 chances technically. If you are happy with your first performance, you can stick to that. If you are not happy, then you have a second chance to improve your score. আর অন্যান্য কলেজের জন্য ইট ইজ 1 চান্স। এই 2026-এ নর্মালি ফেব্রুয়ারি মার্চ নাগাদ একটা হয়, সেটা এখনো হয়নি। প্রিমিয়ামদেরটা হয়েছিল অক্টোবর নভেম্বর মাসে, তার হায়ারিং ইন্টারভিউ প্রসেস হ্যাজ বিন কমপ্লিট ইন ডিসেম্বর এন্ড, জানুয়ারি বিগিনিং মনে হয় ইট গট ওভার, ঠিক আছে? তো এইভাবেই রান করে প্রসেসটা। এনিবডি ক্যান সিট ইন, নট এন ইস্যু, একটু খোঁজ রাখতে হবে, ঠিক আছে?
Sir, I'm from MSc Mathematics and Computing. I'm a final year student. Sir, we are currently going to sit for the TCS Atlas hiring exam that is going to be held on February 23rd, I guess. So, can you give any suggestions or like advice on? We don't know the exact syllabus, or we know only about the sections. Like
You only know the
we only know about the sections which are going to be in the exam question paper, but we
Acha.
don't know about the exact syllabus which are going to be there.
সিলেবাস থাকে না কিছু, মোটামুটি যা পড়েছো সেটার উপরেই থাকে। কিন্তু এটা কবে বললে? 23rd ফেব্রুয়ারি?
23rd February.
আমার জানা নেই কি হচ্ছে, কিন্তু বক্তব্যটা হচ্ছে যে তোমাদের কোনো রেজিস্ট্রেশন লিঙ্ক পাঠিয়েছে?
হ্যাঁ,
লিঙ্কে ঢুকে কোনো মক পেপার পেয়েছো?
না, আমরা কোনো মক পেপার পাইনি। এখানে টিচাররা এসেছিলেন,
কারা এসেছিলেন?
এইচআররা।
এইচআর এসেছিল?
হ্যাঁ, HR
তাদেরকে
দুজনে।
জিজ্ঞেস করনি?
হ্যাঁ, ওনারা বলেছিলেন যে প্রিভিয়াস ইয়ার অনলাইনে পেয়ে যাবে,
হ্যাঁ।
কিন্তু তারপরে আমরা খুঁজে কিছু পাইনি অনলাইনে।
কে এসেছিল তার নামটা মনে আছে?
একজন হচ্ছে আকাশ গাঙ্গুলি আর একজন হচ্ছে ইভা সোম।
আচ্ছা, টিসিএস থেকে এসছে বলছো?
হ্যাঁ, TCS কলকাতা।
আচ্ছা, না, আমি চিনি না। তুমি তুমি কি আমাকে একটা মেল ড্রপ করতে পারো?
ওকে
ঠিক
স্যার।
আছে, মেল আইডি তো আছে তো আপনার কাছে? মেল আইডি আছে, মেল ড্রপ করো। আমি আমার এই কনসার্ন টিমকে জিজ্ঞেস করতে হবে,
ওকে স্যার।
ঠিক আছে? করে দিও। 23 তারিখ যদি পরীক্ষা, আজ কত তারিখ? 4।
আজকে হচ্ছে 4।
হ্যাঁ, তাহলে করে দিও কাল পরশুর মধ্যে,
ওকে স্যার, থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার।
ঠিক আছে? Thank you guys. Hopefully it was useful for you guys. Thank you.